Welcome to the High Rankings podcast, brought to you by Dispensary-Growth, the preeminent SEO agency for dispensaries. Each episode will dive into the world of search engine optimization for cannabis dispensaries. We'll discuss the latest strategies and tactics to help your dispensary rank higher on search engines and attract more patients and customers. So whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, join us as we explore how to maximize your online presence and stay ahead of the competition in the rapidly growing cannabis industry.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the High Rankings podcast. We are recording this on the second to last day of July, but by the time you hear this, it will be August. So that's crazy. I'm still like, how am I surprised that it's August almost? But here we are.
And it's still 99 degrees here in Denver. It's gross.
101 here. Feels like 101 here.
That is disgusting.
Yeah. So that's crazy. Before I forget, we are on episode number 69 of the podcast. I always like to put that in there because sometimes I forget. Episode 69. So currently we are towards the end of July, heading into August. Kids go back to school in a couple of weeks. That's crazy. And before we start talking about life, I have to get off my chest what's vexing me this week. And it's kind of sort of a follow-up from last week, because last week I was like people, right? This is also people. And maybe you had an experience similar to this or not this weekend, because we did both go independently, obviously. We're in different states, and watch the new Deadpool movie, which is
Great movie.
so funny. But people in movie theaters, just no. Just no. You're on your cell phone.
Specifically, okay. So like did that PSA pop up from Ryan Reynolds? He's like, don't be a douche. Don't talk on the phone during the movie. Don't be that person that's like walking and texting on the opposite side of the aisle.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, like
just don't be a donkey.
Yeah, that or like talking too loudly.
Yeah.
Like I only talked at one point in the movie to my husband, and I'm not going to ruin it, but there is a person who shows up in the movie, and I was like, is that really that person? Because I could have sworn that person was in prison. But like people that talk too much, people on their phones, don't clap. It's unnecessary. You're the same kind of people who clap when a plane lands. It's unnecessary. We don't need it. And also, how long does it take you to unwrap a candy? And why is it so noisy?
Oh boy.
You know? How
like
long?
A candy bar or like some
Like,
sour,
I don't know what they're opening.
They're opening
Sour
Patch Kids.
From fucking Willy Wonka in the chocolate factory that's like 8 miles long, and it's got the crispiest, most noisy wrapping around it, and it takes them forever to open it. Like, no. Open it before the movie starts. Why is this necessary? Common courtesy. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
I got Sour Patch Kids during either like first 20 minutes. I don't know. It was pretty quick, but I forgot how good candy is in movies. It's been years since I've been to a movie. But anyways.
Yeah, I think the last movie I went to was maybe Top Gun.
Okay.
The second one, obviously. Maybe it was the last movie I went to. I don't know. I don't go to the movies too much. But yeah, I just had like a Coke Zero and a small popcorn or something. I don't know. But anyway, that's what's vexing me this week. People in movie theaters. Just don't. Moving on to topical things. Are you watching the Olympics in any way?
I'm watching some of the biking things.
Mm-hmm.
Things. By things, I mean events. Some of the biking events. And I saw some swimming. That's about it. I haven't really. Usually I love the Olympics. Like I love watching that kind of competition. But that's been about it. Did I miss anything?
A few things. Let's see. You missed the USA men's gymnastics team getting their first medal in 16 years. Clinched by the nerdiest guy I've ever seen in my life, who was an absolute fucking beast on the pommel horse.
Gymnasts are savages.
He's probably going to be like, you know how every year in the Olympics there's like a couple of standout people. Like I think for myself, Simone Biles, obviously, because she's just insane. Or like Ilona Maher, the rugby player. There's always like a few people that stand out. He's going to be one of them. So he literally, the only event he does in the entire gymnastics thing is the pommel horse. That's it. The other people on the team all do everything. Like there's 4 or 5 things, I can't remember. Literally all this guy does is the pommel horse. He wears glasses, he's blind as a bat without them. He's like, I think he's going to be like one of the characters that stands out. So that was pretty impressive. I think the first gold medal the Team USA got was the 400 relay. I think that was the first gold medal they got in swimming. I tend to watch the roundup at the end of the night because there's obviously the time difference for one, and then two, there's just some things that like I'm not really interested in watching because they kind of bore me. Well, not bore me, because how can you be bored by people who are like the top in the world? But like, I don't really want to watch like shooting, like this shooting 25 whatever it is meters feet. I don't know. I got no interest in pistol shooting. Typically got no interest in equestrian sports until I saw Snoop Dogg talking about the horse that was crip walking last Olympics. That was hilarious. And I believe that him and Martha Stewart are gonna commentate on some equestrian sports. So I feel like I might watch that because Snoop is like, do you know who else is a standout? So obviously Snoop's there. He's fantastic. He's going around all the sports with all the families. Love him. Do you know who else is a standout? It is the most bizarre thing, but I absolutely love him for this. Flavor Flav.
Really?
Because Flavor Flav, he's like 65 years old or something, dresses like he's 18. He's like, when he had the show on the TV, when he had the show on the TV, I thought the guy was like batshit crazy, right? But he's not. He's wonderful. He found out, so the women's water polo team, they have won the Olympic gold medal for the last 3 Olympics in a row, right? But he found out that these women are not sponsored. So they were working 2 and 3 jobs to put themselves through to afford the Olympics and stuff like that. And he's like, not having any of it. So he has signed a deal. I believe it's with the men's team as well, but I could be wrong. But he's definitely done it for the women, and I believe the men, that he's going to sponsor them for the next 5 years himself personally, right?
Really?
Yep. So he's like walking around with like this swim cap on his head with his glasses and his clock, and he goes to all of the events. I saw one where he had the First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden. He had her out there with all of her family out watching a game. I think he had Snoop there at one point out there watching a game. Like, he is hyping up this water polo thing like a champ. And I just love it. I just think it's fantastic. So as amazing as the Olympics are, and they really are, these people are incredible at what they do. And just the amount of work that they put in and the dedication they have is just second to none. Like, it's incredible. For me, it's the stories like that come out of the Olympics that I love, you know? Like, of all people, Flavor Flav. I saw Jason Kelsey was out there with the women's rugby 7 team. He was out there. His wife's out there. There's a bunch of people. Like, I love it. I saw this one clip of this. I think she was from New Zealand, and she is in the like dining hall area, and she's crying because she hasn't talked to, but she has seen, I believe she's a Jamaican track and field person. I'm not sure who it is. And what's funny is she's literally sitting next to like probably one of the best rugby players or something in New Zealand. Massive, massive star in New Zealand. And people are like, you're crying because you saw this person, but you're literally sitting next to like another phenomenon. So anyway, so you see this, and then like as the clip goes on, she's like jumping on her bed because this particular Jamaican star has now followed her on like Instagram or something. And then the next clip, she's freaking out because this person's now messaged her and she wants to meet her and stuff. And then you see her freaking out because she finally gets to meet this other person and like get a picture. And it's like, those to me are the stories that I think are like, you know, I like watching it for. But obviously, but we haven't had track and field yet. We've had a lot of gymnastics and swimming, diving, tennis, fencing, but I haven't seen any track and field yet. So I don't know when that's supposed to start.
I can do some track and field. Those sprinters are incredible. They're swimmers. I tried swimming when I joined my gym, and that's like I can do like 3/4 of a lap.
Oh my goodness! And then you see them powering. Do you know the one that gets me is the butterfly stroke?
Yeah,
I can't even figure out how you do it, let alone like.
Yeah, those guys are savages.
Like, I don't understand.
The swimmers in general are like really, really like their bodies are like so highly tuned. The swimmers at the gym that I go to, it's a lifetime, but the swimmers that go there, they're hard type A's, right? They go there at like 6 a.m.
Yeah.
to get in like an hour of swim time, which is nuts. And they're so like they have like no body fat on them. They're like so disciplined, and yeah, swimming is no joke.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like they're just so powerful, mind and body. All of these people it's just so crazy to me. But like, I don't know. I just love all of like the human, which is funny because I don't like people, but like I love all of like the human nature stories that come out of it that like, oh man, this one of the guys in the USA gymnastics team, he's first generation American. His parents like came over from Poland and he's the first one born here. And like, and I will tell you this, like thinking about it now, you know how I know in my brain I'm American now and I'm not British? Because I'm rooting for Team USA. It's not to say that like, oh, I don't care about what happens to Britain because we have like Tom Daley, who's like, I think this is his 4th Olympics. He's an amazing diver, phenomenal diver. He just won another medal. He won a silver, I think, in his pairs. But like, I still root for them because you can't help but not. But like, I'm Team USA, So then I was thinking about it the other day. I'm like, man, I guess like, I mean, I'm American now because obviously citizenship, but I'm like, man, I guess I really am now.
Yeah, you're in too deep now. You can't do it. Are there viewing parties that you know of in your area?
I have no idea. I just watch it all on Peak.
Oh, okay. I was going to say if there's any like bars or restaurants or anything like hosting viewing parties. There's a couple here in Denver that are doing that. I've never been, but it'd be pretty cool to go to that.
I wouldn't go because there's people there, but like I think there's a couple of people that I've seen that are from your area that are from Denver. So I feel like if there was like a pretty well-known like person from the area, there probably are parties like that, which I think is really cool because then, they all of their family and friends are together, but I wouldn't go because there's people. So
Gotcha.
That's the Olympics. So what's new with you outside of the Olympics?
So I had a buddy in town last week. Went up to Trestle. It is peak biking season. So downhill mountain biking is what I love doing. And I didn't get hurt. I almost, like no joke, I almost seriously got like very injured. My left handlebar, I was going down the trail. My left handlebar almost hit a tree, which would have thrown me over my bars. And yeah, would have, and I was buzzing down this line too. Yeah, so my left handlebar clipped or like nicked the bark on a tree. Because I was too far to my left. I was kind of off the line. I got off the jump a little weird and I like overcorrected and my left handlebar, knocked off some of the bark. So yeah, that was, and that was pretty sketchy. And I fell off a wall ride past tense. I fell off a wall ride, but I didn't get hurt. I kind of saw like I didn't have enough speed. So yeah, just go to the bike park. We had a cool day on Sunday. Had a couple of buddies up there. It's fun to ride by yourself. Like that's kind of relaxing actually, but it's also like way more fun to ride with like 8 other people.
Yeah.
And so that's fun. So yeah, we did a couple laps. Traffic, of course, was just absolutely disgusting. It was Sunday at like I left around 2:30. I was there first thing in the morning. I left around 2:30, which usually on a Sunday, I-70 is not that bad. It was brutal. So about 2.5 hours, not too bad. Listen to a podcast. And and then that previous Friday, I went up on a Sunday to the mountains to ride. That previous Friday, saw the new Deadpool movie. It was very good. Very funny. I highly recommend that. And I'll go see that again, actually. I do want to see it because I was hysterically laughing in a couple parts. I've always liked to see more. Like I've always liked Deadpool too. Like these are like MCU movies. My girlfriend's got me into them, but I haven't seen. There's like 30 or 40, I think. Yeah. I'm like really behind. I've seen like 3 of them, I think.
I think that if I was more up to date with like the MCU and also like the whole Fox and Disney thing, I think I probably would have gotten more of the jokes only because there was quite a lot of them in there. Like the one scene where I don't want to ruin it for people. You know when he's finding different Wolverines and he finds the one he's like, what they did to you?
Yeah, he turns behind.
Yeah, he's seeing him from behind. He goes, what they did to you? I got that because I knew exactly how he'd been treated. So like I was like, oh, that's fucking hilarious. But like I think if I knew more of like the lore of it all. I think there was more jokes I would have gotten. And like, I never heard of Channing Tatum's character. I did not know who that was.
Okay.
No, I had no idea who that was in terms of like the superhero realm and stuff. So obviously I didn't really connect with that. But like, yeah, I said to you the other day when we were talking about it, I'm like, I definitely want to go and see it again because I know there were parts when I was laughing so much that I missed like the next joke. And I know I missed a lot of jokes that on a rewatch, you're going to get it,
Mhm.
So yeah, I definitely want to see it again, but it was very funny.
And I don't know if this is like a thing now. I hope it is. But I'd been to a movie theater in, I mean, at least 2018, maybe? I don't know, 2017. Like the last movie I can remember going to go see in a theater was Wolf of Wall Street. And that was at my old job. So that was the last one I remember. So the whole experience of going to a movie theater, I was just like, I was pulling up in the Uber and I was like, I can't remember the last time I was in a movie theater. It's been so long. But there's assigned seating. It's awesome. There's none of that like yard sale of, oh, I think like we can get a seat here and okay, you go down there. I'll go up there and see like what's available.
Yeah,
Like, no,
we buy them online before we even go in now.
yeah, it's freaking awesome. So we had assigned seating, sit down, you have a drink or two, and yeah, that movie was a lot of fun. Yeah, so that was a Friday. So yeah, that was it. Just live my best life.
Nice.
What was your week, Caspa? I know we only have so much time on here.
Haha. Well, boating on Saturday, hot as crap, saw dolphins. It was amazing. Sunday, we went to see the movies. Well, I'm trying to think what else. I know I've done other stuff, but I literally, my brain.
Yeah.
Oh, I just thought of another thing that vexes me. I can save that next week if I remember, because it's part of like what I did yesterday. Took 2 teenage girls to the mall yesterday.
Oh, how long were you there?
Couple of hours. I just let them go do their thing. They don't want me hanging around, So I went and did my own thing, and they went and did their own thing, and that's about it, really. We've been getting a lot of rain because it's like summer, so we've been getting like the summer, like late afternoon, evening thunderstorms and stuff. Touch wood. It's been very quiet in the realm of hurricanes lately, so I haven't had to worry about that too much. Although there's something brewing out there, but I don't think it's really anything crazy. That's about it. They go back to school in a couple of weeks, which is bananas. Yeah, and then they go back to school, and then life goes back to normal.
We
But
have
yeah,
a little bit of traveling. Well, I'm going back up to Winter Park here for a couple of days. It's too damn hot here in Denver, so we just buzz up to the mountains. And it's the band trip coming up. That will be fun. And yeah, it's living our best life. Huh?
you are living your best life right now. Well, now that we have caught up, we should probably actually talk about what we're here to talk about, because people don't tune in
What are we talking about?
to hear about our lives, as thrilling as they are, and they are thrilling.
Boating and downhill biking.
Boating, biking, and Formula One, which is on a break for a few weeks, so there is no F1 to talk about. Okay, so today, what we are talking about is search volume, domain authority, and how they can enhance your dispensary ranking. That's the topic of conversation.
So we've done an episode of that in the past. I don't think it was too thorough. And with, Google updates and everything, I feel like we should go more in depth on why or even how to do it. I mean, you're better at it than I am. With like research and all of that, but like the value of it to a dispensary, how that can influence sales for a dispensary.
Oh, well, I mean, the simple answer to that is the higher you rank, the more people will find you. The more people find you, the more sales you'll make. That's literally the simplistic answer of it.
Yeah, the more products you can sell. So flower, edibles, concentrates, whatever it is.
Podcast done. Yay.
How can a dispensary do that though?
Well, this is where your research comes into play. So whether it's you doing it or whether you hire an agency or whether you hire an internal person who knows what they're doing. But the first things that you want to do is figure out what you're already ranking for, because you don't want to repeat yourself, right? So definitely do that. You also want to identify what high volume keywords you want to rank for. And you also want to identify what high ranking keywords your competition is ranking for. That's like the bare minimum that you do. And we just did a podcast not that long ago on how you find that out. So I'm not going to go into detail about that because we'll just be repeating ourselves. But there is a podcast that we have done about how to identify those. So that's like the first thing that you're going to want to do. And I guess I need to break down and explain. Well, you can do this. Explain what a high volume keyword is. Because
Yeah. Okay. A high volume keyword is a search term in Google that has, by high volume, I would say at least 10,000 searches per month. So it's a search term in Google that has at least 10,000 searches per month. And so that can be like dispensary near me, for example, that has very high volume. That's like over 2.2 million. That is a high volume keyword.
Right. So typically, the higher the volume the keyword is, the harder it is for you to rank and the longer it will take for you to rank. So, for example, I remember we looked this up a couple of years ago because we were curious to see, like, because it goes from 0 to 100, right? So that's where you're at. And we were like curious as to like what keywords we were finding that were like 100. So, for example, at the time, when if you typed in COVID was 100 because it was like still when COVID was like quite,
Topical.
it was, yeah, at the time. I mean, not that it isn't now, but so like you're not going to rank for COVID unless you'd have to be like, what's the name of that hospital? Oh my God, my brain is just
Johns
fried.
Hopkins or something.
Yeah, you'd have to be someone like that, right? To even
Cleveland
start.
Clinic or like World Health Organization. It has to be topical to the domain too.
Yeah, and also because you've got the trustworthiness of your domain and everything else. So anything like that, you're not going to rank for that, right? And then we also have domain authority. So domain authority, and again, this isn't another podcast, but domain authority is literally like a 0 to 100 scale of like how strong, I suppose, is your website compared to like other websites, right? So if the lower the domain authority, the chances are it's newer, it has less information on it. It could be brand new if it's lower. And then the higher the domain authority, you've been around longer, you've got more content on there, it's topical, you've built authority, you've got backlinks. It's a good, solid, structured well, great URLs. Google loves you, basically, the higher that your domain authority goes. So the higher your domain authority, the quicker and easier it is for you to rank for those higher volume keywords. So if you have a domain authority of 10 and your competition has a domain authority of 40, they are going to rank quicker for the same keyword because they have a higher domain. Generally, and I'm very generally speaking, because there are other factors that do come into play, but that's the gist of the point. So your goal with your dispensary's website is to obviously increase your domain authority so that you can get those higher ranking keywords quicker. That's not to say that you won't rank for them, because you can. And a lot of times it's just a case of time. Obviously, as long as everything else falls into place, your website's structured well, the URL, the information on the page is correct, it's topical. But your goal is to increase your domain authority. You definitely want it higher than your competition, always. So those are like the key things here is your domain authority and the high volume keywords that you want to improve.
Okay. I know we did talk about this, but for the sake of this podcast and in this context, can you go into like a tool or like how to see if a keyword has high volume?
Oh, that's easy. SEMrush and Ahrefs. And now I don't know how to use Ahrefs. I'm assuming it's not too dissimilar from SEMrush because they are pretty much the same. But I can tell you that in SEMrush, it's called keyword overview. And I'm literally going to type in COVID right now. Type in COVID, hit search, and it will tell me that it has a 450,000 volume just in America. Global volume is 1.5 million, but we're only focused on America. And the keyword difficulty is 100%. So I'm pretty sure that Ahrefs works the same, but you literally type in the keyword that you're looking for. Let's do indica versus sativa because that's, relevant to us. So here it's indica versus sativa. It has a volume of 201,000 and a keyword difficulty of 57. So actually, that keyword difficulty isn't awful. It's considered difficult, but it's not awful. And the volume is solid. So you just go into SEMrush or Ahrefs and it will show you there. It also shows you things like intent, which we talked about
Mhm.
last podcast, I think, like informational or commercial, etc. But yeah, that's how you would figure out the keyword difficulty and the volume of your keyword.
Gotcha. And then let's take that keyword you just looked up, indica versus sativa. What would you do with that? Like, what would be a rough strategy blueprint on how to rank for that?
I'd make a blog post on it, what I would do. So yeah, I would create a blog post about indica versus sativa. You could also maybe do an FAQ page on it, depending on, I guess, what you need for your website. Or you could also look up the variations on that, also thinking about. But yeah, I personally would create probably a blog page regarding indica versus sativa, and I would do keyword research about indica versus sativa, depending on how I want my blog post to be written. But I would create a blog post about indica versus sativa, create a keyword outline with other keywords, and then make sure that I'm linking it internally and externally. Also, I would probably, like, this also is from SEMrush, but for example, there's an SERP analysis towards the bottom of the results page for that on SEMrush. And you can go and look at how other people are using that particular keyword. So for example, WebMD, I don't know if I would, WebMD tells everybody they have a tumor, but like they have a page on indica versus sativa. So does a bunch of other websites. So you could also go and like see how they've used it to give you some ideas. Obviously, you're not copying them, but you can get some ideas on how they used it. And also make sure that it fits into your roadmap that you've laid out for what you're trying to achieve with your website.
Okay. So using that tool, you can get different keywords, like ancillary keywords around that same topic. So maybe that root keyword, indica versus sativa, well, you might not get sales directly from that blog post. With the right keyword strategy and content strategy, and of course the right backlinks and everything, assuming your website is technically, like you said, sound, that could boost the domain authority and inherently raise your position in the map pack. That's where all the money is.
Yeah, and
Local map pack.
I know we've discussed this before. I just don't know what blog or what podcast it was in, but like when we talk about keyword strategy, also take into account that keyword particularly isn't bad. It's 57%. But when you're creating a piece like this about like a blog post about indica versus sativa, you want to make sure that your keywords are varying in their keyword difficulty. So the keywords that are in your content outline that are written into your blog post, you want them to be varying difficulties, because the lower the keyword difficulty, the quicker you'll rank for that, right? So that will help get that page moving upwards. And then, so that's more like a short-term effect, right? But then the harder keywords that will take longer to rank for, you don't want to get put off by that, because this is a long game, right? SEO isn't like immediately overnight, boom, and you're done. It's a long game. So yeah, it's going to take longer to rank for those more difficult keywords. So you kind of have to play the short, middle, long game in terms of the difficulty of the keywords that you put into a piece. So that goes to your strategy of like, you know, eventually I want to be ranking for this 80% difficulty keyword. It's not going to get there right now. What can I do in the meantime? Oh, these keywords make sense for what we're writing about, and it will get us moving ranking with Google.
Okay. That's pretty solid. And as always, to monitor this, using the proper tools to monitor is key. So like proper tools, like you'd mentioned, SEMrush, they have a great keyword tracking tool. You can use Ahrefs, of course. Google Analytics and Google Search Console are a must. And if you like fancy dashboards, you can use Looker Studio, which just spits out analytics and Search Console, you know, makes it look pretty. But you can also track keywords indexing. So that's a good call. Is on Looker Studio, there's a drop down that allows you to see how many keywords are indexing on your website. So you can see what keywords are in pages, of course, are indexing on your domain, and keep track of that. So really just be organized, have a spreadsheet, have a plan. Don't just go about this, you know, just kind of like, oh, I'm hoping something will happen. You have to have a set plan and keep track with SEMrush, Ahrefs, Google Analytics, and Google Search Console, or for easier reporting, Data Studio, Looker Studio, and you will know if you're on the right track or not. Those tools, SEMrush, Ahrefs, Moz, whatever, those are your like weight scales, your smart scales, BMI, how much you weigh, body fat percentage, all that. That's how you tell if you're making progress or not. And then you can always iterate from there of this is working great. This page is not working. This needs maybe different keywords with a lower KD. Maybe the others are too high, and kind of going from there.
Well, if the page isn't ranking, then you've ruled everything else out, right? It can only be the keywords. But if you've got a page stuffed full of like really high volume keywords, the solution to that would just be to edit your blog post, right? And add in some lower difficulty keywords. You wouldn't rewrite the whole thing.
No. I mean, yeah, exactly what you just said. If there's too high a KD relative to domain authority, and when you get technical, the topical authority isn't there, then there's really no point in going after those keywords.
Okay.
So that's where that initial phase of keyword research is so important, and matching domain authority to keyword difficulty and volume, of course. That's why this is almost like this voodoo magic of, sorcery of SEO, because that is wrong so many times.
Right.
That research level.
Yeah.
When that's wrong, that's when companies lose money on that. And that gives a bad name to the industry. So anyway, yeah, solve all that by doing the proper keyword research and monitoring it at the data level with good tools like SEMrush, Ahrefs, Google Analytics, and Google Search Console.
Right. Makes sense. Well, I think it's not one of those really deep topics that we have to spend an awful lot of time digging into, because it is pretty much straightforward. So I think we've pretty much covered everything for now. Don't forget that you can listen to our podcast anytime. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on LinkedIn. You can find us on YouTube. We do have an Instagram. So please feel free to comment, subscribe, give us a review. If you have any questions, we are more than happy to answer them for you. If you have any suggestions of topics that we have not covered that you would like us to cover, or maybe we have covered them, but you want us to cover them again, give us an email or a direct message and we will respond to you. In the meantime, enjoy your week. We'll be back with a new episode in a week from now.
Peace.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of the High Rankings Podcast, brought to you by Dispensary-Growth, the preeminent SEO agency for dispensaries. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you found value in the insight and the tips we shared. If you did, please hit that subscribe button. And if you're feeling super generous, we would love it if you left us a review. If there's a specific topic you'd like us to cover in a future episode, or if you have any questions, you can go ahead and find us on LinkedIn or YouTube. We'll see you next time.